Welcome to Financial Podcast. I'm Olivia. Today, we're going to discuss a case that sits at the uncomfortable intersection of wealth, political power, and the justice system, and consider what it might signal about the environment in which we operate financially. A recent presidential pardon has drawn significant attention, raising questions about the impartiality of clemency and the potential influence of political connections and money. The individual at the center of this is Paul Walchek, a former executive in the nursing home industry. Mr. Walchek faced serious charges related to tax evasion. Specifically, he was convicted of pleading guilty to evading over $10.9 million in taxes. The details of his crime are particularly stark. He withheld millions of dollars in taxes from his employees' paychecks, money meant for Social Security, Medicare, and federal income taxes, but failed to actually pay it over to the IRS. Beyond the employee withholding, he also didn't pay the employer-side payroll taxes that were due. Over several years, this resulted in a total tax loss exceeding $10 million for the IRS. Prosecutors argued that this wasn't a case of financial desperation. Instead, Mr. Walchek used these withheld funds, money that was not his, to finance a remarkably lavish lifestyle. This included purchasing a yacht for over $1 million, transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars into his personal bank accounts, and making extravagant purchases at high-end retailers like Bergdorf Goodman, Cartier, and Saks. His activities spanned over a decade, with the tax evasion becoming more pronounced in the years leading up to his charging. Even after facing scrutiny, he reportedly attempted to continue funding his lifestyle by opening a new business in a family member's name and using those accounts for personal expenses. In court, Mr. Walchek was sentenced to 18 months in prison and ordered to pay approximately $4.4 million in restitution. The judge presiding over the case made a noteworthy comment during sentencing, emphasizing that wealth should not serve as a get-out-of-jail-free card and expressing concern that a lenient sentence would reinforce the perception that wealthy individuals can evade justice while others go to prison. However, despite the judge's ruling and the clear sentencing requirements, including a date to report to prison, something else unfolded. Just 12 days after his sentencing, before he was required to report to serve his prison time, President Trump issued a full and unconditional pardon to Paul Walchek. This pardon not only spared him from the 18 months in prison, but also reportedly meant he would not have to pay the nearly $4.4 million in restitution he was ordered to return. The timing and circumstances surrounding this pardon have raised significant questions. Mr. Walchek had reportedly filed a pardon request earlier, around the time of the election, but it was unsuccessful at that time, even as other allies of the president received clemency. His appeal for clemency argued that his prosecution was politically motivated. The application reportedly claimed his being targeted due to the political activities and strong support for President Trump by his mother. Mr. Walchek's mother is Elizabeth Fago, a prominent socialite, and a longtime and significant donor to the Republican Party and President Trump's campaigns. She is reported to have raised millions of dollars for Trump and other Republicans over the years. Her involvement in Republican fundraising and events has been extensive. She has attended both of President Trump's inaugurations and various VIP events. Notably, her name also surfaced in connection with the effort to publicize the stolen diary of Ashley Biden ahead of the 2020 election, an episode that reportedly drew law enforcement scrutiny during the Biden administration. Mr. Walchek's pardon application explicitly highlighted his mother's connections to this effort and her resistance to being removed from a federal advisory board under President Biden as evidence supporting the claim of political targeting. The specific event that immediately preceded the pardon was a high-profile fundraiser held at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago club. This was an exclusive event, reportedly hosted by MAGA Inc., a super PAC supporting his 2024 campaign. According to reports, attendance at this dinner was priced at $1 million per person, offering guests face-to-face access to President Trump, who was a featured speaker. Less than 3 weeks after Ms. Fago attended this $1 million per person event at Mar-a-Lago, her son received his full pardon. This sequence of events, a significant donation or attendance at a high priced event, followed swiftly by clemency for a close relative, has inevitably fueled accusations of political favoritism and potential corruption, echoing the very concerns the sentencing judge articulated about wealth and impunity. The argument put forward by Mr. Walchak and a White House official that he was targeted by the Biden administration over his family's conservative politics presents one narrative. However, his guilty plea to the tax evasion charges and the clear evidence of using withheld employee funds for personal enrichment offer a counter-narrative focused purely on the criminal nature of his actions, independent of politics. From a financial perspective, cases like this are deeply concerning. They raise questions about the fairness and integrity of the legal system when it intersects with significant wealth and political influence. If clemency can be perceived as being granted, at least in part due to political connections or proximity to high-dollar fundraising events, it erodes public trust in the impartiality of justice. For businesses and investors, the stability and predictability of the legal and regulatory environment are crucial. When questions arise about whether the application of the law, even at the highest level of presidential clemency, might be influenced by factors other than the merits of the case, it can introduce uncertainty and potentially deter investment. It suggests that connections might matter more than conduct, which is not a foundation for a sound or equitable financial landscape. The fact that Mr. Walchek's crime involved stealing from employees and defrauding the IRS out of millions underscores the direct financial harm caused by his actions, harm that impacts ordinary taxpayers and the public purse. The pardon, by reportedly sparing him the restitution he owed, further highlights the financial consequences, or lack thereof, for the pardoned individual compared to the financial loss incurred by the government and potentially the impacted employees. This Walchak pardon is also seen by some as part of a broader pattern of controversial clemency decisions made by President Trump. Over time, he has granted pardons or commuted sentences for a range of individuals, including political allies, others convicted of financial crimes, and many individuals involved in the January 6th Capitol riot, including those convicted of violent offenses. Examples highlighted include the pardon of a former sheriff convicted of bribery, a city councilor who misused charity funds for personal plastic surgery, and even commuting the sentence of an individual convicted in what the Justice Department described as the largest healthcare fraud scheme ever. While each case has its own specifics, the cumulative effect of these decisions has been to fuel a perception that presidential clemency is sometimes exercised based on personal loyalty, political connections, or proximity to power, rather than solely on traditional factors like remorse, rehabilitation, or proportionality of sentence. This pattern, viewed through a financial lens, reinforces concerns about governance risk. It questions the reliability of regulatory enforcement and the justice system's ability to hold powerful or well-connected individuals accountable for financial misconduct. In a market economy that relies on trust and fair play, the perception of a system that can be influenced or circumvented by wealth or political ties is problematic. The judge's comment about wealth not being a get-out-of-jail-free card now stands in stark contrast to the reality of this particular outcome. Mr. Walchak, despite being sentenced to prison and ordered to pay millions in restitution for crimes that directly harmed employees and the tax system, avoided both jail time and the restitution payment through a presidential act that occurred weeks after his mother's attendance at a $1 million fundraiser. Ultimately, the Paul Walchek pardon case serves as a powerful example of the potential conflicts that can arise when political power, personal connections, and significant wealth converge. It raises important questions for all of us, especially in the financial world, about the durability of legal norms, the influence of money in politics, and the fundamental principle of equal justice under the law. It's a reminder that the integrity of our institutions has a direct bearing on the stability and fairness of our economic environment. Thank you for joining me on Financial Podcast. I'm Olivia, and I'll see you next time.